Let me just listen to my block.
It's truly a love letter to, to this neighborhood. I was in Washington Heights, I grew up there.
In the Heights won Calixto Chinchilla's heart from the first time he heard about Lin-Manuel Miranda's show set in the largely Dominican community of Washington Heights.
The unfortunate thing is that, the Heights is changing, the gentrification is real. A lot of us can't afford to be there anymore. It's a different neighborhood. So that even that movie becomes a time capsule, if you will.
Say it so it doesn't disappear.
Washington Heights!
In the Heights tells a particular story about one community, but Latino playwright Herbert Siguenza says that's not how Hollywood sees it.
They put us all in this one homogenous group, and it's just very unfortunate.
Unfortunate and problematic, says Ethan Vontillo, founder of the San Diego Latino Film Festival.
The problem is we put too much pressure on these movies because it's the one film of the whole year. This has happened many times. I've seen this over the years, right? All this pressure is put on this one film, and if it's not a success, then they say, okay, well, that's why. The audiences don't want to see their movies.
And we put a lot of pressure on them, because we want them to represent all of our feelings, all of our history, all of our nuances, and that's just impossible. It's just impossible.
Both Siguenza and Vontillo have grown jaded about Hollywood telling their stories.
I heard a lot of people celebrating, oh my gosh, in the Heights, it's going to be a big change, and we're going to see more Latinos in front of the screen than behind the screen. Unfortunately, I've heard that before. We've seen that a few times with other films.
Films like Zoot Suit, which challenged stereotypes 40 years ago.
It's always important to remember those who have come before us, and films like Zoot Suit paved the way for someone like Miranda to even make what he's currently made, and to Hollywood to even distribute what's being made.
For a young Latino filmmaker like Luis Martinez of 2 a.m. Burrito Productions, the film was a mixed bag.
I would have liked to seen a Latinx director have the reins of this, but it made me feel really good to see it on the screen, and made me feel really good that the studio put its money behind a project like that.
In the Heights, which opened in theaters and streaming on HBO Max, underperformed at the box office in Hollywood's eyes. But Martinez says that's an easy story to pitch an editor.
In the Heights underperforms. What does this spell for Latinx audiences moving forward? But I think the people that are going to make the next project are going to get the real streaming numbers from HBO. When you have access of dual releases online, every, HBO Max password out there is getting used by 3 or 4 different Latino families. That's close to 80 people that could have theoretically watched the movie during the weekend.
No matter how the film performed at the box office, the Latino community is excited about it.
Just kind of seeing how already families are already reacting via social media, just like the sense of pride and seeing oneself on the big screen.
But I think people are just reacting emotionally because we just don't see ourselves. We just don't see ourselves on film. We have tons of stories, but they're just not represented in Hollywood.
A lack of Afro-Latino representation in the film has stirred criticism. But with so few films focused on Latino characters, Martinez suggests supporting the film, but also recognizing its shortcomings.
As long as we have that conversation while still supporting it, so that more artists like myself and other artists that are out there creating content and telling stories in all genres have the chance to make more films is what I would like to see come out of this.
In the Heights pays tribute to old MGM musicals, and the big production numbers are worthy of the big screen.
This is big, explosive, big numbers. The way he opens it up and uses his imagination, he knows musicals.
Can we raise our voice tonight? Can we make a little noise tonight?
The way it's shot in anamorphic, and to hear it in a Dolby theater, see this film the way it ought to be seen. This doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often at all.
Little details that tell the world we are not invisible.
Beth Accomando, KPBS News.